Welcome back to my studio. Let's talk stencil design today. I'm Christy Hartman, and we're diving into something a little different. This is my newest stencil for pmartiststudio. Features the Plumeria flower. This design is special because it's a repeated pattern, which is a departure from my usual field of flowers style that captures the natural scattered beauty of wild blooms. I wanted to try my hand at a repeated stencil. This Plumeria seemed to lend itself to that type of a design. My creative process always begins with a concept. In this case, it was the Plumeria. And the inspiration is followed by multiple reference photos that I usually take myself, sketches either in my sketchbook or in Procreate, and once the design feels right, I refine it digitally until it's ready to test. Then it's time to cut the prototype on my brother's Scan and Cut, taking it to the gel plate for the first time. That's when the real testing begins. I look for areas that are too delicate or parts of the pattern that don't quite work the way I had hoped. Sometimes that means going back to Procreate for some tweaking, and other times the design works right out of the gate. Sometimes a design doesn't translate well, and it goes on the back burner to be worked on at a later date. Watch as I test this Plumeria prototype on the gel plate and see how this new design is working. Since I'm testing this new Plumeria design, I thought it might be kind of interesting for you to hear how my design process works. Now, other artists, of course, work differently, but this is my design process. I started with a sketch, and I had this much of the sketch. So I started with this amount, and I repeated it around all four corners. I then incorporated a smaller one in the center, as well as all of these different negative space areas. After getting it into Procreate, then I took it to my brother's Scan and Cut, and I cut it. This is actually the second in my prototype series. I felt the first one was very delicate, and I didn't feel that it was as strong as I would have liked it to be. In fact, and I tested on the gel plate to look for areas that are going to pop when I pull my stencil up. Sometimes it's a design that the stencil is going to pop, and that just happens. But if I can minimize some of those areas, that's my goal. This stencil is actually designed to be a 9x12, and it's a little bit bigger than my 8x10 inch plate, but I think it's going to work well on my 8x10 inch plate. When you actually see this stencil, it will be in a 9x12 inch format. And for this one, I'm going to go with a black. We'll see how this works. Oh my goodness. I think with a paint that isn't going to craze, that will be absolutely beautiful. And I don't really like all the crazing on this. So I think what I'm going to do, let's see, I have to figure out how to place this back over the top of this design and line it up as well as I possibly can. And I'm going to go over the top of this, same location, but I'm going to go over the top of it with this iridescent bright gold fine. Alright, let's pull that off. Oh yeah, that was a good application. Very good. Now, but we have that kind of gold shadow and the gold showing up. I really, really like it just the way it is. It's kind of got some cracking on there and the gold is showing through. I think this could be really, really pretty just the way it is. So let's put Winsor & Newton Permanent Magenta to pull this one. I'm going to let this dry completely, and then I'm going to pull this with a different color, because this is not quite as dark as I would have liked it. It's a little pinker than I wanted, so I think we'll pull it with another color, which will deepen that permanent magenta. So let's let that dry, and we'll be back. This one, we're going to use this Quin Burnt Orange, which I really, really love. Oh yeah, that did exactly what I hoped it would do. Okay, that's going to be beautiful. I'll be back when it's time to pull it. All right, that I think is outstanding. So let's try using a little bit of this Amsterdam. This is Payne's Gray. It's not quite black, but it's a pretty dark Payne's Gray. Let's use Quin Magenta again. Let's just offset this slightly. Yeah, the magenta went almost purple. It's very, very light, very faint. And let's see if I can line this stencil up with the original. And I don't care if it's exact, but I want to get pretty close. Okay, let's use the iridescent bright gold fine. Very nice. I actually really like that too. That looks. We're going to use a little bit of this PBO 358, which is really, really nice. Let's pull this one with this Lucas Krill beige. Wow, that's gorgeous. I love that. So let's go with Lucas Krill Indigo, which is a very opaque paint color. Okay, this blue is dry. So let's take our stencil, and I don't want to lay it in the same exact location, and that might be hard because that's part of the beauty of these repeating designs, is that they're the same all the way around. So I'm just going to offset it. Okay, this one, I still have gold on my stencil, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm just going to offset it again, one more time. Let's try that. And let's just go over the top of this, get it kind of adhered down a little bit. Okay, let's use the teal. I think we'll do gold for this one. Oh, very nice. Perfect color choice. Look at how that made that pop. Okay, well, I didn't pull up everything, but it was almost. And actually with that gold in the background, it's beautiful. This was the... All right, let's use Naples yellow. In fact, I think we'll just use this color, the 358, which is on there. You know what? I'm going to try something different. I never use this. I think the fluorescent orange is light enough that it's not going to be too big of a problem for the blue that's on here. This one I think we'll pull with PBO 356. I think this one needs something. I kind of don't like this one. So I think we're going to do an overlay. And we're going to use Prussian blue to go over the top of it. Okay, that's how it's going to look. Well, I think it looks pretty good. I'm happier with that now. I moved this, just offset it a bit, and we're going to use this 357 by PBO. All right, let's add a little bit of this PBO violet blue to this. Just get that kind of pink glow behind it. I think we'll pull this one with this gold from PBO. It's wanting to rip. I got most of it. 2 spots. Oh, 3, honestly. I wonder why. Okay, let me show you how to fix this. It actually is fixable. Let's start with this one, which has a little bit more of a rip. Put a little bit of glue down. We can pull this up gently without damaging the gel plate. Okay, then set that down, smooth that out just a little bit. Figure out how it goes back on here. Set it down. It's not perfect, but if you cover it up with a stamp or a piece of ephemera, you'll never notice it. Let's use a little bit of this neopaque jacquard black and see if we get a little bit better result than the last black we had. All right, I lined this one up, and we're going to go Quin Nico Azo Gold. Let's add a little bit of this iridescent silver. Kind of shows through the black a little bit. That's pretty cool. I like that. Okay, let's let that sit and dry. Actually, we're going to use this Quin Burnt Orange from Sennelier. Huh. Well, so we'll just use part of it. Okay, we're going to use this 357 to begin. I have this stencil pretty well lined up on this, and we're going to add a little bit of this PBO gold. This is neutral gray from Golden. It is open. You can mix this. You do not have to have this. I just happened to buy it, so we're going to use it. Ah, this one has the gray. I think that's beautiful. I think that turned out great. These are the prints that we completed today. This was the one where I used the black craft paint. It was crazing, so I put some gold, a gold right behind it, and then pulled it with a combination of reds. And interestingly enough, the light shining on it makes it look a lot less red than it really is. It actually is a pretty deep red. So, okay, this one was the Payne's Gray from Amsterdam. And again, had a little bit of crazing, a little bit of cracking. So I put a couple layers behind it and then pulled it with Titan Buff. Start over. This one I started out with the Naples yellow. Behind that I added some iridescence, some pink, and some orange. I think there was fluorescent orange in there. And then overlaid the blue over the top of it. And I really like this one too. I think this one turned out really well. I think the definition in this one is really nice. So this one was the turquoise phthalo. Lots of layers on this one. I really, really love this area, and I wish that I could have pulled more of that blue off of there, because I think it was super interesting. This one I was particularly fond of. I pulled it with the Sennelier burnt orange. And I used a black, I think it was a Lumiere black, and put some silver in behind it. And there's a little bit of Quinn Azo Gold. And I like this one a lot too. I had a hard time pulling everything up off of this one. So there's a couple little spots that I had to repair. But I think this one is really terrific. This is another one where I started out with PBO iridescent paints and pulled it with the gray. I think there's some gold in this one as well. Every stencil has its own path, and this Plumeria repeat reminded me how design evolves through exploration. Testing it on the gel plate brings the pattern to life in ways that sketches never can. Look for this stencil at pmartiststudio. Link to this stencil will be below in the description. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. I can't wait to share where this design goes next. Be sure to subscribe for updates as I refine and finalize the design, and for more creative insights from my studio. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I can't tell you how important that is. Leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you, and I will see you in my next video.